This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in indoor series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
There's an old saying in racing, anyone can drive a fast car slow, but not everyone can drive a slow car fast. With many burgeoning hopefuls starting a racing career in the MX-5 and the Spec Racer Ford, events such as today's really shows some skill and talent. Every inch will make the difference as we get ready to watch the majors SCCA runoffs, and you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and joining me in the booth tonight is Adam Lindgren and DJ Clark. Behind the scenes is our director, Zach Johnson, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Road Atlanta has been the scene of the SCCA runoffs multiple times. Let's head to our track guide to see what makes it such a great fit. Welcome to Road Atlanta, the scene of incredible sports car racing for decades and the home to the Petit Le Mans. This is a track that has proven itself to be worthy of attention on a world stage. With it being situated only an hour northeast of Atlanta, Georgia, the circuit is in a prime location. But despite its flagship race, in contrast to the real Le Mans, the full course is a measly 2.5 miles long. The club layouts also clock in at just under 2 miles. Packed within this small lap length is a series of technical and challenging corners, some of which can be race-ending even when small mistakes are made. Turn 1 is a fast sweeper which compresses the car into the track, but the high speeds mean that when you go off, you typically go off in a big way. Turn 3 is notorious for its curved entry into a blind apex. Too far inside and you face a cut course penalty. Too far outside and you're likely to spin out. Then there's the unassuming Turn 5. The wide curbing lures you into getting greedy, but the close walls on either side gobble up cars and spit them out as a crumpled heap. With all the tricky fast turns, that's not to say that there aren't passing opportunities. The main one comes at the chicane at the bottom of the backstretch. The huge downhill drop into the turn makes outbraking yourself quite easy though, so be careful. The whole thing wraps up with the frightening final corner. With nothing but a giant wall right to the outside as cars fly through at high speed, it's not often that wrecks are small. Boasting a wide swath of series over its history, everything from NASCAR to Indy Lights and of course IMSA, the main use of the track is SCCA events and driving schools. No wonder this place is popular both in real life and here on the iRacing service. Fans will no doubt get to enjoy many more years of action at this incredible track. Well, Adams, it's small cars at a small track today, but big implications, of course, for the championship.
Yeah, absolutely, Joe. Road Atlanta, which is home to the Petit Le Mans, is a challenging and dynamic venue, and today's short course is anything but easy. Featuring 1.76 miles or 2.83 kilometers rather, and 10 turns, this version of the circuit cuts out the bone of the pork chop in favor of a bumpy, arcing right turn coming out of the S's that connects turn 5 to turn 9 down to the turn 10 chicane. These MX-5s and SRFs may be used to the power down the long back straight, but they'll need to manage their slip angle and limited horsepower as they power through the cut through and try to get on the brakes later than their competitors for turn 10, the best passing zone on this layout of the track. But if you think the rest of this layout is easy, think again. It features a challengingly uncambered turn 1, the wickedly difficult S's, especially in a car that has as much slip and body roll as the MX-5s, and the twitchy off-throttle oversteer in the SRFs. And closing out the lap with the challenging turn 12 that can threaten to push even the tightest wound cars wide. And you have a recipe for a wild 2 races tonight, Joe.
I think it's going to be fun to watch, without a doubt. Now, we are going to take a look at the various championships because we're in the penultimate round here today. So things are coming down to it. In fact, we should see, as we look at the Pro Championship for the drivers, Christian Challoner, as soon as he takes to the grid, essentially clinch it here today. Josh Chin is in second and unfortunately is not here today. And I believe Waring is neither. No, Waring is here. It's Walker I was thinking of that is not able to attend today. So those two being his closest rivals and not being around, that is it. Justin Morton rounding out your top 5. Still some close fights there between 3rd, 4th, and 5th for the championships. But they also have, of course, the pro teams. DJ, where are we sitting on that one?
Well, there you can see, Joe, that Forge Racing Pro 1 holds a 145-point lead, so a healthy gap there above Kinetic America's Pro 2. Evolve Sim Sports very close back there in second with Dog Bear Red also close there, so a pretty good battle shaping up for P2 in these final 2 rounds. Kinetic America's Pro 1, they're off at a bit of an island by themselves with UDOC's Lola about 60 points back.
Yeah, and with quite a few drivers clinching their championships, one place that's not going to be clinched is the newly renamed John King Legends Championship. This has 4 drivers still mathematically in competition. Kevin Hill, 26 points ahead of Brian Barnes, and Wayne Hutchison just 5 points back of Barnes himself. Then we've got Brian McGreevy, who's also mathematically in it, even though he's a long shot. Jimbo Pfeiffer, unfortunately, is mathematically out of it, but Brian McGreevy still 50 points back. He has an opportunity to try and get that top spot if everyone ahead of him has a bad night tonight.
And for today's race itself, as we take a look at the details, it is only going to be 20 laps with 2 races, mind you. Remember, they start here in the MX-5s, and then they're going to hop over into a second race in the Spec Racer Ford, both of which races in the real-world SCCA runoffs. And that second grid will be determined by your finishing order in the first race. Now, here's the thing. 12 incident limit in each race. So in this first race, if you get 4 car contacts, or 3 car contacts actually, you're out. You're going to have to start from somewhere in the back, most likely. And you want to keep it clean in this one to help you in the second one. And they do have a fast repair in each of the races as well. We do have some of the other championships that are coming up, and these are the ones that might seem a little lesser, but they're just as important to the drivers, DJ, including that Sportsman Championship, effectively the AM Championship here.
Yeah, exactly, Joe. And it's a lot closer there in the Sportsman. You can see Ozzie Milwain holding a 13-point lead over Brian Halleck. Joey Haynes very close behind Halleck, only 5 points back. And 7 points back is Chris Sherburne. With Justin Garrick there, 35 points back overall and 10 points back of Sherburne. So very, very close as they go through the board.
And it's just as close for the Sportsman teams as well, with Forge Racing Sport 1 only 23 points ahead of Sector 5 Sports, and 20 points back of them is Evolve Sim Sports Academy. Then we got High Class Racing 69 points back. They're not mathematically out of it, but they may as well be. That's going to be a big gap to try and close up, considering the Sportsmen only score about half the points that the Pro do. Then Vengeance Motorsports down there in 5th has secured that 5th position pretty effectively, but Howler Racing is actually only 2 points behind them. So the top 5 still up for grabs for the Sportsman teams.
And the last one, of course, is the Legends Sportsman. And up at the top of this one, it is Maurice Camillion. But look at this. It is a tie for second, and they're both only 4 points back from Maurice. So that could easily switch around by the time they enter the last round at Motegi when we head to the finale over in Japan. Paulison and Roger Shank only separated by a single point themselves. And who knows, maybe they could jump any of those drivers ahead of them here in the Legends Sports standings, because there's really not much between them. Now, we also have our usual charity, but this time it is the ASPCA. The American Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals was the first humane society to be established in North America and is today one of the largest in the world. It was founded on the belief that animals are entitled to kind and respectful treatment at the hands of humans and must be protected under the law. Their mission, as stated by the founder of Henry Berg in 1866, is to provide effective means for the prevention of cruelty to animals throughout the United States. To find out more information, head to aspca.org. Glad to see this one as a big animal lover myself. It's always a joy to get to see some money raised for them. We're in the last couple minutes of our warm-up. Qualifying has already happened for the first race here in the MX-5s. And Adam, I understand you've got some info on some of our other regions. Of course, we have the European and the International that also races at the same weekends here in the majors. I guess spoilers in case anybody who hasn't seen those races yet, so cover your ears.
Absolutely. Now, just as Christian Challoner has an opportunity to clinch just by starting the MX-5 race, for the other regions, Cameron Dance has clinched the International Championship, and Dallas Pataska has clinched the European Championship. Both of those drivers taking home the Mario Andretti Trophy for those regions. We also have Adam Facciaponti, who's clinched the Sportsman European Championship himself. So quite a few drivers clinching in this round, even though we're quite a few rounds from the end of the season. Just shows the dominance of these top drivers over the course of this season this year.
Yeah, it has been quite a season, and it will also mark the first time that we will see a back-to-back champion in the same region as well, because remember, Christian Challoner won, of course, in the European region 2 years ago, and then last year won the Americas region, becoming the first driver to have 2 championships, drivers' championships on the pro end here in the majors. But now he's going to make it a three-peat. And it's not looking like he's showing any signs of stopping. speaking of stopping, hopefully they got some rubber underneath them when they break down to the chicane, DJ, because we were looking at the temperatures, and track is looking a little toasty.
Yeah, it is, Joe, and it's getting toastier and toastier by the minute. Currently up to 99 degrees on track. I looked a couple of minutes ago, and it was down around 96. Also of note for these drivers is that wind, 11 degrees coming out of the northwest. That'll be a little bit disconcerting, especially as they cross over the hill here. You can get a little bit of crosswind that can throw these MX-5s or the Spec Racer Fords just a little off their kilter, and that not going to affect them too much as if they were driving around here in an open wheel car, but it's still something that these drivers are going to have to watch out for.
Absolutely. I'm sure they'll appreciate having fenders on them in both races, because this is going to be some tight racing. And speaking of which, Adam, even though it's only 22 cars out there, because both races score equal points and you want the best finish possible in each of them, if you're starting from the back here in this first one, I mean, what recourse do you have? Because it looks like passing is going to be at a premium.
The recourse you have is to not make a mistake, because the likelihood is that we're going to, oh my goodness, that's a big mistake that you can make around here coming through turn 5. But if everyone's going to be pushing really hard to try and win these races, because the stakes are so high for these teams right now. But if you could just keep your car clean and let people push themselves very hard, the MX-5 is a hard car to recover if you end up off in the grass, especially around these sweeping turns. And so if you want to have recourse for yourself over the course of tonight, do well in the MX-5 race just by keeping your nose clean and trying to plug away just a little bit, get a couple of positions so that you set yourself up well to start up in front in the SRF race. And then assuming that you are comfortable in the SRF, because that thing is more of a beast than people realize, at that point, then just go for broke.
2 minutes left now, and then they will grid up for the first 20-lap race. I'm really looking forward to this, DJ, just simply because we've seen all different types of vehicles in the majors, but usually they're on the higher powered end. F1 cars, Indy cars, NASCAR Cup cars, things like that. Even I would say that the modifieds are pretty beastly machines. So jumping down into these MX-5s is going to be interesting, seeing all these top-tier drivers basically go at it in what are the beginner cars on iRacing.
Yeah, Joe, it's going to present a really interesting challenge out here for him because, as you said, you still have to have a lot of talent to drive these MX-5s fast. It's all going to be about momentum. If you make a mistake in these cars, it's going to be catchable. It's not like you're driving the F1 car where it's going to try to come out and kill you. But what it is going to do is it's going to blunt that momentum. And especially around here, specifically coming down through the S's and around that long sweeping right-hander, it's going to be crucial to get things right. And so it'll be a lot of fun to see if these drivers who are now going to have more time to think about their mistakes as they're coming through the corner, how they're going to handle it.
Absolutely. This is Andrew Warren on screen as we now switch over to Rob Powers in the Kinetic Racing car and the 47. I'm a bit surprised to see that it's the Kinetic Racing 2 team, not the 1 team. I'm not sure if there was any difference in there and who they put on which, but are the ones that are challenging for that Pro Teams Championship. And certainly seemed as though the drivers put a lot of weight into that, trying to get all they can. And Forge Racing are the ones that have really stepped up to the plate. But once again, they're not necessarily in their comfort zone as much being on the roadside. They tend to have a lot more success over on the oval. The good news for them, last race is going to be at an oval with the twin ring Motegi taking them over to the egg-shaped oval instead of the Grand Prix course that is also there. And it looks like the warm-up session is now done, which means it's time to go to our grid here for the penultimate round of the majors. And Christian Challoner will start on the pole. Andrew Warren will start from 5th as Travis Warling starts P3. Then it's Kevin Hill in 4th, Ross Banfield in 5th, and Liam Quinn on the outside of row 3. Adam Halleck starts in 7th. Justin Morton was looking good in the practice. He'll start from 8th. Brian McGreevy's 9th, and Mark Stevenson is 10th. DJ?
In 11th, it's going to be Rob. Lining up to the outside of him would be Joshua Wolf, followed by Brian Barnes and Kurt Crum. Nick Kuhn will be 15th, followed by Isaac Snyder, with Ryan Walker of GSRC fame in 17th and Lynn Kinchlow in 18th. Wayne Hutchinson will be 19th, followed by Ryan Steele in 20th.
Then we got Jason Wallet and Justin Kirby rounding out your 22-car field for this MX5 race.
Indeed, and we see them now starting to warm up the tires as they'll have a pace lap and then be released. No pit stops in either of these races. If you're going to pass, you're going to have to do it on the track. And saw a little bit of the brake lights there from Christian Challoner coming up the hill as well. I get the sense that he's using every trick he can to try and get those tires up to working temperature before they get unleashed.
Yeah, absolutely. These MX-5s actually have a significant performance delta with warm tires versus cool tires. So that's why you see Christian working really hard, and also Andrew Waring working really hard to get these tires up to temperature. Now, here they come to the end of the S's, then they're going to take a quick right-hander. There you see the normal track heads off to the left. They're going to take this right-hander, which is going to sweep them through the cut-through and take them off to turn 9, and then they'll be downhill to turn 10 in the switchbacks.
And this is where we expect most of the passes to be attempted here into the chicane. Although often we will see battles in all different makes of vehicles continue past the chicane and into turn 1, which should be fun in these cars. Here is our onboard. I think we have a lone onboard here today. Ryan Walker going to give us a view. He is actually up way late over from Scotland. And let's see if he can do a David Coulthard here today and show him how it's done here in the States. Green flag is out, and Christian Challoner gets a good start as they cross the line to start the SCCA runoffs for the majors. Into the first corner. Not going to challenge him. Looks like Waring is going to stay put, but we got some side-by-side through the rest of the field.
It's a great start for Christian Challoner for sure. Andrew Waring right on his rear bumper, though, trying to put pressure on him as they go up into turn 3, sweeping through turn 3, down into turn 4, the downhill through this S's section. Looks like it's a pretty clean start from everybody. We have nobody who's had any issues, but man, are the guys in the front really starting to streak away already as they sweep towards turn 5 for the first time.
Ooh, and a little bit of a loose moment it looked like for Christian Challoner there for a brief moment. He caught it. Andrew Waring's going to take advantage as he already starts reeling him in. And the 336 is going to look to the inside of the first apex down to the chicane, but he's got to finish the job around the other one. Christian behind him by the first part. Can he cut back underneath?
No, it doesn't quite look like it, and indeed, it almost looks like he's going to have a little bit of an attack on his hands in the form of Travis Warling behind him. Those two unorthodox machines looking very, very quick here early on. Challoner going to tuck up behind Waring, though, as they cross over for the first lap.
You can see a little bit of side-by-side behind them. That's Stevenson and Kevin Hill, who are going to take it into turn 1 with Stevenson around the outside. A little bit of door banging between them. They managed to get away with it. And it looks like Stevenson is going to get that 7th spot.
Absolutely. Stevenson pulling ahead. Kevin Hill having to fall behind those two forged machines. Justin Morton and Mark Stevenson starting to pull ahead just a little bit of those two guys. Justin Morton putting some pressure on Liam Quinn for the 5th position as they go around there. Christian Challoner, though, really starting to close up on Andrew Waring. The draft in the MX-5 is very strong.
It is indeed. Is this what we're going to see all night? Drivers just swapping up at the front. They're pulling along Warling and Banfield down to the chicane. No, we are seeing some cooperation from Challoner as he gave a little bit of a bump draft to Andrew Waring. I'm not too shocked at that. Challoner's a bit of a thinker's driver, so he's probably looking at the big picture in this race.
Yeah, indeed, he is, Joe, but that little bit of the bump draft again bringing him into pressure from Travis Warling as Andrew Waring, your leader right now, sets the fastest lap of the race, making their way up here through turn 2. Recognize, though, that, as you said, Challoner, a thinker's driver, he's probably already starting to count back from that 20th lap and making sure he's in the best position possible.
Ooh, he was very fast through turn 3 there and put some distance between himself and Warling. But I think they're going to be able to pull this right back in now as they head through 5, up and over the hill. He's getting onto the back of Andrew. Let's see if Travis gets up close to them. He's not as close as I would have thought, but still no pass from our current champion, which I guess now, once again, our current champion. By the way, congratulations to Christian for clinching by taking the start here today, and they're going to stay in order. We also, apologies, have one more camera that we didn't get to mention during the warm-up lap. Isaac Snyder in the 13. We ride on board with him now, appropriately in P13.
Absolutely. Isaac Snyder doing a good job. As you see Christian Chandler setting the fastest lap of the race. Isaac Snyder down in 13th position, about a half a second behind Brian McGreevy and Kurt Crum. And there's a big battle actually for the 8th position between Kurt Crum, Adam Halleck, Kevin Hill, and Joshua Wolf as they head up towards turn 3. There you see it side by side up ahead of them. Wow, very close heading into turn 3 as they go over the heavy bumps.
Yeah, that is Wolf at the front in the orange and black, being chased by the pink and white of Kevin Hill. Then the Forge Racing red and white car with Adam Halleck chasing behind. Seen little runs of momentum from a lot of cars, but very few actual passes at this stage.
Yeah, not seeing a whole lot from the drivers here. Joe Challoner there in that second position, not looking like he wants to make the move. I think Adam brought up a good point that there is a big discrepancy in the tires between cool and warm with how they perform and handle. And I think a lot of drivers just maybe waiting a couple of laps until they can get a good feel for the car underneath them.
We did have a pass. It looks like Nick Kuhn got past Rob Powers. That was for 16th place down into the chicane. So some of them are finding ways to be able to get overtakes done. And that was a big mistake from the kinetic car behind the Forge machine of Justin Morton. Is he going to lose out into turn 3? Quinn does get around him. Quinn into 5th.
Yeah, Justin's got to get going here because he's actually getting held up. He's holding up his teammate, Mark Stevenson. They're all losing. They've lost about a second and a half just in the last lap alone to Ross Banfield up there in 4th position. Mark Stevenson getting a little tight through the corner. Now he's under pressure from Joshua Wolf from behind. Justin Morton has the best run he's had all night, but he's going to stay in line. They're going to give a little bit of a bump draft, but they're losing time, so I'm not entirely sure what the strategy is here. But Mark Stevenson's not going to wait around for his teammate. He's going to take the position away.
Oh, but he's not done, and they're going to make contact. He gets spun around and hit. Other cars have to scatter. Kurt Crum goes completely off the track, and Josh Wolf is the one that plowed into the side of him.
Yeah, and it looked like, Joe, I thought for a second when that happened, there may have been a little bit of team communication there between the Forge drivers, but the big kerfluffle there getting caused out as they went down into there. Now everybody's sweeping in through turn 1. We're still side by side as they go around there in the back. Hill, Halleck, McGreevy. Looks like McGreevy a bit of a big loser there.
Yeah, that was Adam Halleck in the Forge car that almost also got tipped around. We have more contact. That's Josh Wolf for the second time this lap. Brian Barnes, and he have to take the cut through, and he rejoins unceremoniously, hitting the side of Ryan Walker.
Well, that's going to end Josh Wolf's, well, not night, but we have a pass for the lead once again. Christian Challoner has decided to take it from Andrew Waring this time by. He waited long enough, he thinks. I guess 6 laps was the delta. Travis Worling has been putting pressure on Christian Challoner over the last couple laps, and now he's going to put pressure on Andrew Waring to try and make this pass for second.
Let's see if he tries to fight him into the first corner. He's got good speed. No, he decides not to. They're just going to stay nose to tail into the first turn. Let's take a look at the replay of that incident, though, we saw last lap. Let's see, are we starting with the one into the chicane or rejoin? So yeah, this is into the chicane, and there you can see a lot of drivers did get caught up, but many were able to sneak through.
Yeah, and unfortunately, just a little bit of net code between Mark Stevenson and Justin Morton was what caused that incident. They probably would have been fine to get through there without it. But then there we see the bump between Joshua Wolf and I believe that's
Ryan Walker.
Yeah, Ryan Walker. And yeah, Ryan Walker just taking his normal racing line as Josh Wolf came back onto the track, ends up just punting him off into the wall.
Going to take one more perspective at it here. And I'm trying to remember who it was in the blue car that he had that initial contact with, and looks like it's the 10 machine of Brian Barnes, Popsicle Man. Oh, and we got another change for the lead. This time into turn 1, Andrew Waring with a brave one, and Challenger finds just enough space to get back in line.
Yeah, just barely enough space around there, Joe, as that's going to allow for Travis Warling to start to close in a little bit on the back of that machine. Things getting a little bit dicey here early on.
Yeah, I think we got suckered into a sense of false security here with our drivers up at the front, just kind of biding their time. And now it's starting to erupt with people making their moves. And we have to wonder who wants to be where and when towards the end of this race. Right now, Challenger wants to be back up on the point, and if he doesn't watch out, Warling has already closed the gap behind him, but it looks like he is able to make the pass successfully, and Waring is now into P2, and behind them, look at Warling and Banfield in those UDOX cars just waiting for their time.
And they're not waiting super patiently. They've actually been putting a lot of pressure on Waring or Challenger, whoever's the one ahead of them. And looks like we've had another person who's had a problem. Adam Halleck looks like he's having possibly a little bit of connection issues back there. But he's actually now under pressure from Kevin Hill.
Yeah, Kevin Hill gets to his inside, and this will be the outside of 2, but back to the inside of 3. He's going to lift, though. He knows it's dangerous trying to send it in there, but he does scare Halleck off the racing line a little bit. Now he has to sit patiently through the S's, look for the exit out of turn 5, and use that slipstream down to the chicane.
He's going to try to use it if he can, but gets a little bit of a wider run there, as that was the 52 or the 36 rather, getting a little bit sideways coming through that big sweeping turn 6.
Yeah, so that will deny him. He does take a look, though. He's going to give it a shot, but he's not close enough behind them. You can see a pass from Kurt Crum getting by Isaac Snyder. Kurt Crum was unfortunately put backwards by the incident in that very corner before when the Forge drivers made contact. So he's on a recovery.
And Kurt Crum's actually got a decent amount of speed as we continue to watch this battle between Kevin Hill and Adam Halleck. Kevin really putting the pressure on Adam, taking a look just about anywhere he could stick his nose in. He's going to try and go around the outside here too. Thinks better of it and stays in line, but Halleck really under pressure here, and it's definitely starting to show as the two of them are starting to slow up a little bit and get into the clutches of Brian McGreevy and Kurt Crum.
Yeah, I get the sense that Kurt Crum, once he gets past McGreevy, is quickly going to be all over these two. And Kevin Hill with another run in the pink machine, the Forge car in front, tries to cover off a little bit. No, he's going to stay to the right. Much closer for Kevin Hill this time. In fact, he's got some overlap down into the braking. He's very deep into it, but he's still going to make the corner. Almost look like Halleck maybe gave up the ghost.
And Kurt Crum got past McGreevy on that one as well, and now he's under pressure from Isaac Snyder. They're going to go side by side as they head down through the normal tracks, turn 12, the final corner on this course, and Snyder's going to be able to sneak by. McGreevy lost 3 positions in the course of 2 corners.
One of our onboard cams today now into the top 10 here. Isaac Snyder started 16th. We're seeing moves, so this is not going to be a snoozer out here. There's plenty of fun to be had here at Road Atlanta's short course. And
yeah, indeed, there is, Joe. Lots of good, aggressive driving here. We are over halfway, so I get the sense that drivers really want to get going. Oh, we're very close for the lead here. I think Waring maybe trying to make a move on Challenger. Ooh, dips his nose inside and out.
Yeah, he got up to the bumper, gave him a hello, and then backed out of it. This group of 4 is now 7.5 seconds ahead of Liam Quinn. But from what we're seeing, it is extremely difficult to shake a driver who is relatively close on pace. So I'm not expecting these 4 to separate unless we get a mistake from one of them.
Travis Warling decided to do a little bit of bump drafting to Andrew Waring going into turn 1. These 3 at the front definitely content running single file, starting to leave Ross Banfield behind just a little bit there, but very, very close for all these drivers.
We are past halfway now. A lot of sliding around. That's one thing I love about these cars at the lower levels. They don't have all the downforce on them. So you can really see how much these cars just slide across the track is way out to the outside there. Travis Warling was flirting with the edges of the track through turns 5 and 6. Here we go again from Andrew, and he's got the inside, but once again, we see Challoner play the long game and give a little lift.
Yeah, Christian definitely thinking out this entire race, as we mentioned. Oh, that's an off in the back for Warling. Is he going to be able to keep that on the track? He is, but just barely.
I think he's got enough momentum that he should be able to keep with it. In fact, he's getting some help from his teammate already, trying to bump him up there. It's about 0.8 of a second. They can't lose much more than that, but we'll see what they've got now that they've lost the ground.
Battle for 8th is pretty good as well between Adam Halleck, Kurt Crum, and Isaac Snyder. Crum trying to get his way past Halleck. He's going to outbrake him into turn 1 here. Isaac Snyder tried to follow him through. Is he going to give it an opportunity through turns 2 and 3? Yes, he is. He thinks better of it, though. Backs off. Being on the inside of 3 is such a dangerous position. Here we are, riding on board with Isaac Snyder, taking a look at him as he's racing that desk-mounted wheel. He's got a nice ultra-wide monitor as a viewport for him going through here. That's going to definitely help him through this wide turn 5.
Yeah, with so much close racing, it's almost NASCAR-esque here with the drivers being able to get right up next to one another. You can't be afraid to do some rubbing. So we come down into the braking of the chicane once again. Nobody poking their nose out, but Kevin Hill has a charging Kurt Crum approaching from the rear, and Kurt Crum also kicking up a lot of dirt on the exit of the chicane.
Yeah, he is, and we're seeing those drivers get into it, and it's worth noting, Joe, 101 degrees out on track right now, so things definitely warming up, and that could be just a result of that very hot temperature on the track. Drivers maybe just losing a little bit of grip in those rear tires, overheating them as this track temperature continues to rise.
Yeah, there you can see them up at the top of your screen and plunging once again over the crest. Oh, we have another off for Travis Warling. This time, though, he's not going to be able to recover as easily because he is going to lose touch with that slipstream. He just went off in 6th. Thankfully, did not go all the way out to the wall. And now Banfield is into 3rd.
Yeah, and that's actually probably for the best for the two of them because Warling was losing a lot of time to Banfield as Justin Morton just made the pass on Liam Quinn headed into the chicane. So Morton, there he is, getting by Quinn. So, wow. Ross Banfield has already streaked away to the order of half a second off of Travis Warling and is starting to catch up to the back of Christian Challoner.
Not sure what's going on with Travis, but he's not liking the end of this race. We haven't talked about it much, but even though they're more simple cars than what we see at the top tier, DJ, there's things you can do to tweak them. And I'm wondering, even in this 20-minute race, if Warling's feeling it go off.
Yeah, very well could be. Obviously, not a lot of downforce settings to adjust here in these Miatas as there are no wings, but you can tweak the suspension around a little bit. You can play with some tire pressures, and that will be affected as the race goes along, so that may be what's going on.
And now it looks like it might be down to 2, with Warren and Challoner getting 5 to go at the line. See them on screen. Warren in the pink and white 336. The red, white, and blue number 1 from Christian Challoner just behind him in the purple and teal unorthodox cars. Now about 2 seconds back.
Yeah, Challoner and Warring definitely playing the long game, both of them, but Challoner has been more content to hang out behind. Maybe he took a little bit less fuel, maybe tried to underfuel the car to give it a little bit more performance, but right now, both of them look very loose, and here's another pass going on right now. This is between Kurt Crum and Kevin Hill.
Kurt Crum plows through the inside, but he goes a little wide, and it looks like Hill thinks about trying to come back at him. And once again, wide at the apex for Kurt Crum through turn 3. Better speed for Kevin Hill. He'll be able to get back to the bumper of the number 7, but not able to pass here through the winding S's, up and over the hill. And once again, we're seeing a car go a little bit wide on entry as Kevin Hill does save it, but that hurts his momentum as they finally hit the backstretch.
To look now, DJ, but Isaac Snyder's starting to come up to the back of this battle as well.
Yes, he is. They've got to be very careful. That pink 13 starting to look a little aggressive there in those rear view mirrors. And it's a little bit like some of the racing we've seen this week on GSRC that as the battle you continue to have in front of you, it just allows for a driver to close in behind.
But when he's thinking about it, looking to the inside, so is Kevin Hill. Snyder having to go back to the left-hand side defense there from the 52. And he is going to retain that 8th position. Slow from Isaac Schneider. Here comes Halleck. Halleck also lifts.
Lots of curb being taken by these guys at the top of the hill. They definitely know that these stock suspensions can take a beating around here, even with the heavy roll cages that they put into these machines. There we see this is the drafting pack of Ross Banfield and Travis Worling, a drafting pair between the two of those guys as they're trying to claw their way back up to Waring and Challoner. Unfortunately, they just don't have the pace. They continue to fall back. It was about 2 seconds when Worling went off track. Now it's opened up to 2.5.
It was a 106 flat this time for Challoner, and it was a 106.5 for Banfield. So, yeah, they're losing time hand over fist at this stage, and there's only 3 laps to go. They got to hope that Warren and Challoner actually start fighting at this stage so that they can close that down. But I don't think Christian's going to fall for that.
I don't think he is either, but I'll tell you what, Andrew Waring looked a little bit squirrely there coming up over the crest of turn 3. That did not look exactly great. He caught that left rear tire on it, and that car looks like it's sliding around a little bit on its rears.
So at what stage did Challoner go for it? Whoa, speaking of going for it, that was Brian McGreevy on Walker. That slowed him up. And here comes Nick Kuhn taking advantage. It's rare you can see passes through here side by side. Probably not going to end well as they come together and cutting back underneath. 3 wide through this corner. This does not look good. This does not look good. They're still going to manage to hold on to it. And Nick Kuhn around the outside keeps that position as Brian McGreevy is going to stay in 13th, and Brian Barnes says, I am backing out of this, you guys.
And under braking here, it looks like it's all going to sort itself out. And as we were watching this, Christian Challoner retook the lead from Andrew Waring right there at the chicane. What a fantastic battle between these 3 we've been watching on screen. Phenomenal drives.
Let's stick with the leaders now. We're at 2 to go. Christian Challoner back up at the top. What can he do to defend on Andrew Waring? Is this in his hands? And we've seen in recent cases here on GSRC, these slipstream battles unfortunately not go the way of the leading car coming into the final lap. Andrew Waring and the Evolve Motorsports machine just pushing him along. I think he's content to be in second, DJ.
I think he is too, and I think Challoner may have made... Whoa! That was a big slide there in the back from Waring as he caught some of the dirt coming through turn 10. But this is the area for Challoner. He has nose now as they come down the hill. He's either got to get super aggressive with his defending, or he has got to try to let Waring through and maybe get that slipstream down the back straight. And that's exactly what he did, the latter part. Challoner now on the attack.
So there goes Waring up to the front. Was this all part of the plan for Christian Challoner? He's got to make the pass down into the chicane or have one heck of a run off of it to be able to pass before the start-finish line. Down through the S's. They are clear by a full 4 seconds now over the next 2. So it is all down to them. He gets a decent run, and he's going to have the toe. Sliding a little bit wide. Waring covering off the inside. He's going to make Christian Challoner go the long way around, down into the chicane. The first race of the night. Who's it going to go to? A little bit of a nose ahead for Christian Challoner. Tries to pinch him down as much as he can go. He's going to get ahead. Will Waring be able to cut back across? No. It is going to be Christian Challoner taking the win in the Majors SCCA Runoffs Race 1 tonight.
Fantastic battling between them for sure. Travis Worling's going to come home securely in 3rd with Ross Banfield finishing in 4th. Justin Morton is still ahead of Liam Quinn at this moment. Still close between those 2, and there is the battle we were watching. Kurt Crum and Kevin Hill, 7th and 8th positions, with Adam Halleck coming home in 9th and Isaac Snyder in 10th.
Ryan Walker up 8 to grab 11th, just ahead of Nick Kuhn, who was still fighting him the whole way. And actually, amazingly, everybody finished on the lead lap. We had a few wrecks at the start, but Josh Wolf is going to limp it home in 22nd, which will not make life fun when we get to the Spec Racer Fords. Speaking of which, let's show the results now for this first race of the night. As we mentioned, Christian Challenger taking the victory, and Andrew Waring going to be finishing next to him. As Travis Warling finishes third, Ross Banfield fourth, and Justin Morton fifth. And it was Liam Quinn finishing exactly where he started in P6. Kurt Crum up 7 spots from the start of this race to finish 7th, as Kevin Hill went down 4 and finished 8th. Halleck with a 9th, and Isaac Snyder was in the top 10. DJ?
In 11th, it was Ryan Walker with that good climb up through the field, followed by Nick Kuhn and Brian McGreevy, with Brian Barnes in 14th and Mark Stevenson in 15th. Justin Kirby came home in 16th, followed by Ryan Steele and Rob Powers, with Wayne Hutchinson 19th and Jason Wallet rounding out your top 20.
Then we have our last 2 drivers on the grid who finished in 20th and 21st and 22nd. That was Lynn Kinchlow and Joshua Wolf.
Absolutely. Seeing if we get anybody from that group to come talk to us here. That was a fantastic little race for our drivers. And I can tell you that it's going to be just as intense in the Spec Racer Fords. And the drivers will have to pull out all the stops to try and do what they can there. In the meantime, looks like we are going to head off to a break. We hope to have a few interviews after that. So if the drivers are listening, don't be afraid to come on in and chat at us about how that one felt. Stick around. Race 2 in the Majors SCCA runoffs are coming up in just a few moments' time, this time in the Spec Racer Ford.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. We have one of our drivers from the first race ready to talk to us. It's Ross Banfield, who got a first-person perspective of what it's like racing with the best of the best and iRacing's beginner car around a very tight Road Atlanta short. Ross, what are your thoughts now that you've had a go with everybody around here, and what an unusual combination for the majors?
Oh yeah, it's very very draft heavy. So that's kind of what I remember from the Mazda, but it makes it fun. Other than that, just some setup changes me and my teammate were talking about, because it looks like we kind of missed out on the rake and didn't anticipate the hot track, so the front fell off.
That's what we wondered, if something like that was starting to happen, because we saw some mistakes in there from the UDOX cars. Even still, you guys were giving Christian and Warren a run for their money. Did you feel like you had enough to try and challenge them if it came down to the last laps before you lost the draft?
Yeah, but since this one isn't really my region, I'm trying to be a little more respectful. I don't want to interfere with anyone's running in there, so I was kind of just hanging back as a spectator. But it definitely looks like I might have a chance, especially if the Spec racer Ford, if they're as good or maybe a little less. I'm stronger in the Spec, so we should see.
All right. So what's your prediction then? Is a podium on the cards, potentially a win, or do you see this one being tougher?
If I don't spin it, I definitely see a podium. We'll see.
All right. Well, thanks for coming and chatting to us. We'll let you get off to the warm-up here, and best of luck for race 2.
Thanks, guys.
In the meantime, we also have Isaac Snyder joining us. DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed. Isaac, we are so used to seeing you guys racing in some really fast stuff around here. Obviously, a little bit of a change in the MX-5 on a shortened version of Road Atlanta. How was your race?
It was interesting. It was very, very close with everybody. I enjoyed it. Definitely a change of pace for once. I haven't really driven this car in, I don't know, probably about a year and a half now since I started iRacing. So it's been a while. Not a huge fan of the short layout. Just the turn 5, the car just doesn't want to go. It just doesn't have enough power, and you feel like you're just shredding the front tires when you're not. It's just weird balance, but all around it was pretty close racing, and made it a challenge to get around people because you're kind of limited on passing zones.
For sure. But, coming into obviously the MX-5 is a world-renowned car, but coming into a slower car like that, a little bit more of a beginner car, does that change the way you prepare it all when you're coming in at lower speeds? Or is it what?
Basically, it's just it's a slow car, and most people started out on it. So usually it's try a set, see if it works, and usually you just try to find time, little by little. But you'll get there eventually. Doesn't take as much time to get used to it and back into the things of it. And I'm not that fast, but it was still a blast.
Well, all right. I mean, obviously, everybody loading in here for the second session here with the Spec Racers. How do you think that's going to be a little bit? Do you think that's going to be a little different? You think it's going to change it up? How do you think it's going to go?
Bit more elbows out. That's all I'm going to say. I haven't put a whole lot of work into it, so we'll see how everybody fares out.
Well, all right, Isaac. Thank you so much. Anybody you want to thank for your run today and for what's upcoming?
I just like to thank my parents. They've been always very supportive. Bombshell's been supportive. We're sister teams with Forge, so they've always been a blast to work with on practice and all that. So they are definitely great teammates. And sponsors Lazy Rocket and Smoketown Beer are always great sponsors. Happy to have them. I'm running an all pink car. Sorry, but it's breast cancer awareness. So.
Hey, man, there ain't nothing wrong with a pink car at all. Thank you so much for joining us, and we'll let you get into the session, and we'll see you on track here for this next race.
No problem. Thank you.
That was Isaac Snyder, and The drivers are indeed out on the circuit already in the SRFs. As this car got a fresh coat of paint recently, but one thing it still has retained, of course, it's kind of notorious for, DJ, is what we keep referring to lift throttle oversteer. Now, this kind of gets a little bit into the weeds, I guess, for those who are just kind of coming in and aren't big race fans. So for our viewers who are going, what in the world is lift throttle oversteer? Explain what's happening here with these machines.
Well, basically what it is, Joe, is that as the engine wears off, as you take off of the throttle and the engine starts to wind down a little bit, that can cause the rear end to get a little bit loose. It's coming from the vertical load on the cars, shifting from the rear to the front of it. And what that means is if you're cornering when you're off throttle, that rear end's going to want to step out on you. It's going to want to break away very, very quickly, as opposed to the sort of lazy oversteer spins that we sometimes see in the GT machines. And so when that happens, it can be very, very scary because it can happen with almost no warning. Just an absolute snap of the car where you are facing the complete and total wrong way.
Yeah, I know. When I first learned about it and understood what was going on, it felt so counterintuitive. It's like, well, to stabilize the car, get on the throttle mid-corner. And it takes some mental adjustment for sure. But it is loads of fun to drive, I can tell you that. It's one of those cars that I feel like it's a little bit overlooked since it is very American-centric and it's a road car. But if you haven't tried it yet, everybody on the iRacing service is giving it as part of the base package. So hop in, give it a go, and the community is very welcoming. I will say that as well. So definitely plenty of drivers that will invite you in and try and help you get up to speed and whatnot in their little community. So 8 more minutes left to go. This is just the warm-up for this session. Very similar to what we saw before, just a little bit later in the day as well, as we're now at past 2 p.m. virtual standard time. But once again, just under 100 degrees Fahrenheit on the track surface.
Yeah, 100 degrees Fahrenheit with the winds right around that 8 to 10 mile an hour mark coming out of the west-northwest. So it's going to be a similar condition to our last race, but the start time being pretty accurate compared to what the finishing time for the last race was. Currently, it is 2:07 virtual standard time out there, and so with a little bit more of an angle of the sun on the track, shouldn't be as much of an issue, and these SRFs do have a significant amount of downforce compared to the MX-5s, considering the MX-5s had 0, so anything is significant. But these SRFs have fairly narrow tires, which means that the grip is not going to be quite as ubiquitous, and it's, as we talked about with that lift throttle oversteer, it's going to make it very challenging to keep this thing straight. But that being said, the racing is going to at least feel to the drivers to be a lot faster. Watching Christian Challoner now as he's putting in his practice laps, currently in P6.
Exactly, and Christian, as you'd expect, pretty quick here. But the other big difference that we haven't mentioned yet, DJ, if it wasn't obvious to viewers, is whereas the MX-5 is a road car that's adapted for racing in the SCCA, the Spec Racer is a purpose-built race car. Now, that confuses some people because it's not terribly fast compared to most race cars, even though you can see Christian doing over 100 right there. But this thing is made to do this, which I feel like makes a big difference.
Yeah, it really does, Joe. And what that means for these drivers is these cars are made to drive. They're made to be passed and to overtake with. So I think we're going to see a little bit more battling across the field. You heard in that interview Isaac Snyder saying that the elbows are going to come out a little bit more. I think that is certainly going to happen around here. And I also think that you're going to see a lot more side by side as we go on through. And what that means is that we are going to see a lot more cars off track as we watch the 52 there catch it and almost go into the wall. That was Kevin Hill being able to catch it. And there's the 777 of Ross Banfield just perfectly coming into shot. That also may be something we see a lot more of, Joe, as these are not cars for beginners. These are not learners' cars. These are cars that are meant to be raced.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're going to see a number of people, unfortunately, lose a little control compared to what we saw with the MX-5s, just because they are so unique and how they handle it. And there you see Ryan Walker. Now, we've witnessed Ryan Walker run in these cars before in the Weekend Warriors here on the channel, and is usually quite fast. You can see he's already 6th on the timing sheets here in the warm-up. So I feel like this is one of our specialists we need to keep an eye on, as he could wind up really showing everybody how it's done.
Yeah, absolutely. Driving that SR 97 all sim racing car, and it's just driving around here, and Ryan Walker doing a great, well, I was going to say he's doing a great job, but he's decided to take it a little bit on a drift streak there, give us a little bit of entertainment as he finds the tire barriers and says hello to them.
So just 4 minutes left. Hopefully the drivers have really gotten their practice in. Looks like Travis Warling our quickest right now. Just a couple of them have not put laps down. Justin Kirby and Brian Barnes. Looks like, I think Barnes just getting out on the track, and Kirby is starting his first flyer. Well, we've seen lots of fun stuff here with the MX-5s, and we're expecting yet more fun. This kind of takes me back, to be honest. I know you guys, compared to me at least, have not been on GSRC quite as long, but we first started covering MX-5 races with the MX-5 World Tour. Sadly, a series that has since bit the dust, but for the longest time, for multiple years, that was one of the premier MX-5 series here on GSRC. And hopefully we'll get to see more of it, because it certainly shows what can be done. We've got one of the more basic cars, and you put all the best of the best against each other, and what they can do. The SRFs have also shown up on this channel for quite a bit, but they've been gone for a little while, as they are a favorite of ours here, and so we know exactly what they can do. And we have an idea of what to expect, but certainly have not seen some of the best here in North America really be able to go up against one another in this sort of format, which is a straight sprint with no pit stops in quite some time. And certainly looks like it is causing a bit of a learning curve for a few of the drivers, at least.
Yeah, Joe, we just saw there, I think 3 or 4 of the top 7 all finding the track limits on the edge of the first corner. But yeah, this is going to be one that presents a big challenge there. Let's see what Challoner can do coming through there. He's got it down right to the surprise of absolutely nobody. But yeah, it's going to be a good time out here to see this for sure. Going to have to take some good liberties with those curbs coming up through 2 and 3. Really make everything work.
Yeah, the funny thing is that this car feels tight when you drive it pretty much all the time, up until the point when you lift off that throttle, and then the car wants to swap around on you. It's one of the most unique experiences driving a race car, and especially when you start to head on these downhills, these descending turns, that's when the car just seems to want to just walk away from you a little bit. You're going to see Christian Challoner here. You see him, how much wheel he's putting in. It's just pretty interesting, to be honest with you. So here we go, going through the final turn. He's actually putting in a little bit. You can see he's just trying to get the car to turn there, and it just doesn't want to, and the nose just wants to plow on this machine a little bit more than you think. So you have to actually use the throttle and use that lift off oversteer to actually help it turn a little bit. Some of the best drivers doing that.
And this has been interesting to watch. We mentioned Andrew Waring out there. He's been challenging Challoner. And Justin Morton, who's 5th in the points, he's looking pretty good. Travis Warling, 7th in the points coming into this. So he's going to want to continue to get these good results here today. Kevin Hill has been out there, but he's been in the mid-pack. He's still been showing himself to be an exciting one to watch at the least, even though it probably not going to be able to do much. But this season, at least, it hasn't been as dominant as we've seen sometimes for Christian Challoner. He's only won 6 out of the 12, so only half of them. And add that to a 7th race that he has won this time. So 30 seconds left before we start to grid up. I believe it'll be another rolling start for our drivers here today, as these SRFs usually do in real life. So hopefully those that didn't quite get the right start last time have figured it out this time to see how to get it off the line. And love those UDOX paints. I hope they continue that next season. I've been enjoying looking at all the different paints they've been able to put onto these cars with the wild color schemes that they picked out and this sort of retro feeling that they give them. There's the checkered flag for the warm-up, which means it is time for the grid. So up at the pole, same as we saw for the finish last time, Christian Challenger going to be starting at the front. Andrew Warren will be P2, and Travis Worling will start from third. After that, it is going to be Ross Banfield in fourth, and Justin Morton starting for P5. Liam Quinn, sixth here today, exactly as he started in the previous race. Kurt Crum will start from seventh, and Kevin Hill eighth. Then it is Adam Halleck in ninth, and Isaac Snyder 10th.
In 11th, it's going to be Ryan Walker, followed by Nick Kuhn, with Brian McGreevy in 13th and Brian Barnes to his outside in 14th. Mark Stevenson will line up in 15th with Justin Kirby to his outside, with Ryan Steele in 17th and Rob Powers next to him. Wayne Hutchinson lines up in 19th with Jason Wall at 20th and Lynn Kinchlow bringing up the back of the field in 21st.
So we don't have all 22 out here. Who are we missing? Is that Wolf that we're missing here? I think it is. Decided.
Yes.
Ooh, not sure if he's trying to come in very late. He has to hop in now if that's the case. Unfortunate that we're not going to see all 22, but still 21 should be plenty here for 20 laps. Drivers eager to go, yeah.
Watching the drivers roll up to each other. I mean, in a car like this with the chassis that they have, you got to be careful not to damage it before you start the race. Otherwise, it's going to severely affect your cornering ability and straight line speed. So that was a little bit of tense moments there with drivers rolling on the grid a little bit, but everyone trying to warm up their tires. You can see Christian Challenger weaving a little bit behind the Porsche pace car.
You know, one thing that drivers do need to be thankful about, I suppose, depending on if you're a masochist or not, is they recently switched this car from an H pattern to a sequential. So that helps out a lot in this. It's a lot easier, I can tell you right now, because it certainly was a little bit finicky with the old H pattern. So that should hopefully help them try to adapt to this thing, but it'll still be a challenge, just slightly less of one.
Yeah, indeed it will. But what that may mean a little bit is they'll have a little bit of problem using that engine braking to slow down. You may have to rely a little bit more on that left pedal. But one way or the other, Joe, they're going to have to be careful when they're off the throttle. We talked about that off throttle oversteer. Coming down the hill here on the parade lap, getting that last bit of temperature into those tires.
Indeed. Can Christian make it back-to-back to celebrate his third championship here in the majors and his second in the Americas region? And they are getting right close to each other. Oh my goodness, almost bumping to the back of Challenger. The UDOX car of Worling is not letting him get away. Green flag is out, and this is going to hurt Andrew Warren, it appears, as he's on the outside. And already Worling is going to try and box him in with his teammate as he comes up to the back of Christian Challenger, breaking into the first corner. But look at the speed carried by Worling around the outside. He's actually going to be able to get ahead by the time they hit turn 3.
Holy smokes, it's very, very close and tense. Everyone trying to slow it down over the top of turn 3, trying not to spin around backwards. Looks like we have had someone spin backwards. That's Ryan Steele in the back of the field, now back to 21st position. But everyone else clean through the S's.
Yep, our only driver to spin there through turn 3. I'll take that. That is a good sign. Is up at the front. It looks like Warren trying to keep the inside through the corner as Christian Challenger now pokes his nose late and wants the lead back down into the chicane, but he can't quite make it stick. A little bit of a lockup behind them, I think.
That was a deep send from Kurt Crum. He actually has now created a little bit of a bundle up here as they go through the final corner, DJ. That was very close stuff.
Yeah, it was indeed full send there from Crum. I thought for sure he was going to completely skip out on the chicane, and that has put him back in the order. Up front, they are Noah's Ark style going into the corner, and they are as well in the back there. That's Snyder hanging it around the outside of Justin Morton, able to hold it on as they come up there. Snyder trying to take a little bit of a look. Oh my goodness, it's a hornet's nest all the way through the field.
And Challenger is all the way down to 4th now. So Waring, and Banfield getting by. It is Ross Banfield leading the way after he was downplaying himself just a little bit there in the mid-race interviews. They pick up speed along the backstretch, and oh wow, late defense on Andrew Waring. This is going to allow the other UDOX car through. Travis Worling managing to get side by side where Noah's Ark into the final chicane.
Absolutely, Christian Challenger trying to hold it strong on the inside, but the inside just does not have the speed. Warling able to jump from 4th up to 1st position. Now let's see whether or not Christian Challenger can get turn 12 right this time around. He does, but look how close they are. That's Andrew Waring boxing in Warling as they go through there. Andrew Waring's going to try and make it around the first turn safely. It's going to be almost 3 wide as they go up the ground. It is 3 wide as they go up towards turn 2. Christian Challenger trying to take advantage of Ross Banfield's slow down, and he's going to be side by side with Banfield as they head down the S's.
Whew. Isaac Snyder said it before we got started. It's going to be more elbows out, and that is very much coming true. Warling now your leader, with Waring in second, getting a huge run on him, but has his momentum blocked coming through 5 and 6. Will this bring Challenger and Banfield back into it? We're going to go side by side for the lead once again into the chicane.
And Joe, these guys have got...
And these guys have got good speed down into there, but it looks like it's going to be Waring who gets the lead back from Warling. Oh, and Challenger once again a little slow off the chicane. He's struggling in this car. Crum is able to get by, and so is Banfield.
Absolutely. Kirk Crum out of nowhere has been able to streak up and challenge Ross Banfield as they cross the line. Kirk Crum up to 3rd position, and he's carrying a lot of speed. Here comes Isaac Snyder, and he's almost made contact with the back of Christian Challenger. Kirk Crum with the fastest lap of the race for sure, as he's been able to close that gap. This 4-car battle is now about a 9-car battle.
Snyder around.
Isaac Snyder off.
Morton had to avoid him, and Liam Quinn made some contact. Morton's going to get a slowdown penalty for going off on the runoff there. Well, that built up very quickly, my goodness. And plenty of drivers losing touch with our top group because of it. You can see the Forge drivers now trying to get to the back of Ryan Walker, and we got a pass for the lead. No, pass for second. Banfield on the inside of Crum.
And Travis Warling, DJ, has lost a lot of speed. He actually collected some damage taking the inside curbing of turn 5, so he's actually lost straight line speed.
Yeah, he has indeed, and he's going to come into the pits. That is the 90 of Warling coming into the pits to be able to come out. Oh my goodness, day going bad there for Challenger on Crum getting into it around 1.
Oh. It looks like Challenger will save it, but he loses a ton of time. He is now a full 4 seconds back behind Andrew Waring. If he's got the speed, he's got to unleash it now.
Oh my goodness, I'm going to start breathing into a paper bag here. The battles are just thick and fast everywhere. I think everyone's more or less straightened out around here, with Andrew Waring up to a 1.5 second lead over Banfield. Kirk Crum about 7/10 behind, and Christian Challenger another 1.5 seconds back of them. Oh my goodness, but still a hornet's nest from 6th on back with Morton, Walker, Halleck.
Yeah, Morton took a little bit of a look on Walker that time, but decided not to pass. And did have a change of position between Barnes and Kevin Hill as well. Oh, and Walker is going side by side once again with Morton, who cuts back underneath him. So Justin Morton back into P6. Walker showing his nose a little bit, then back to the racing line.
Yeah, but keeps just trying to be a little bit aggressive there. I like that mentality from Ryan Walker. Gets a better run there through 2 and 3, poking his nose this side and that, seeing if he can maybe force a little air out of that 9 Forge machine. And he may have gotten it. That was a big clip at the curb there for Morton.
So we watch this race for...
Justin Kirby's had an incident.
Oh, turn 3 for another driver. This was all on his own. Just unfortunately spun it out.
Yeah, this is exactly what we were talking about, DJ, that lift off throttle oversteer.
Ooh, actually, we need a replay of this because Kevin Hill had a narrow avoidance moment. Nick Kuhn just about lost the car as well, but it snapped back straight with inches to spare, and Kevin Hill managed to go by. And just as we go to replay, Christian Challenger had a spin in the chicane.
All right,
wow,
so
both of them.
Wow.
Yeah, there's Kevin Hill there. Let's watch from the roll bar of that car, because my goodness, this had to have been a heart attack for him.
Holy smokes, both of them off at the same time.
I'm going to take one more look at it here, and we've gone a little far back, but this is on board with the 52 coming up to turn 1. Here it is. And he couldn't have avoided right either, because there was another spinning car.
I think when you talk about threading the needle, Joe, that is the video that is in Webster's website.
And then Christian, did he lose it on his own as well?
Yeah.
An unheard of unforced error there from Christian Challoner. So he falls back to 12th. I'm thinking it's highly unlikely he'll see a win in this second race, especially considering Waring is now about a second and a half ahead of the nearest car. And that is Kurt Crum, who is being bump drafted by Ross Banfield.
Banfield's got to be a little careful about that, Joe. We already saw the damage that you can pick up on these cars. Travis Warling, I don't know how they kept it going through there.
Yeah, it got very bumpy. These cars don't generally like taking big curbs, so they're certainly playing with fire as hard as they are taking it.
And they got to be extra careful, because if they wear out the tires too much, that liftoff oversteer is going to be even worse for these drivers. We're already seeing them get a little bit loose. And here's another battle. This is between Liam Quinn, Justin Morton, and Ryan Walker for 4th position.
Walker going to look around the outside of Quinn, who defends down into the chicane. As long as he gets the shot off the turn, he should be good. Easier said than done in these cars, it seems. And no, it is Walker who's got much better momentum, but he's got nowhere to take it.
Yeah, a little bit boxed in there, just not really able to get anything done. A little bit more curve there for the 24 of Quinn. Quinn now going for a move on Justin Morton. Which line is Walker going to take? He's going to sit back and let this play out in front of him. Goes down to the inside, but Quinn has to hold up the momentum a little bit, and Walker's got to check up, but they're side by side ahead of him.
And once again, Quinn backs out of it, but that's the experience you're seeing from Ryan Walker with countless races at the top level in this Spec Racer Ford. Just playing patient, and we are just about at the halfway point. What a contrast from the first race, where the first half was calm, and then the second half everything blew up. This one, it has been on it from the word go.
And here comes Ryan Walker on the outside of Quinn. This is going to switch back to the inside for the chicane. Here we go, side by side for these drivers. Walker deep on the brakes. Is he too deep? Just a little bit, but he parks it on the apex, keeping Quinn behind him. Quinn's going to power it out anyway, almost making contact as they go underneath the bridge. Ryan Walker on the inside. He's got Quinn cleared. Quinn's going to have a little bit more momentum. He's going to look to the inside as they cross the stripe.
Seen this countless times where the momentum just switches back and forth, and Quinn sends it in deep, but here we go again. It's just been an over-under battle, almost like a slide job battle here, except on a paved roadside, and Walker finally decides, nope, not worth trying to challenge him into turn 3. Oh, Banfield's caught Waring. It's within slipstream distance here between the 336 and the 777.
Oh, we've got a little bit of a race on our hands, Joe, and Kurt Crum getting tagged along with that as well. So if Waring and Banfield start to fight a little bit, we could see a 3-way scrap here up for the front.
Crum starting from 7th in this race, and he started from 14th in the prior one. What a challenge it has been from this number 7 car, because he has a shot at the win at this stage. And we got another car off. That was the 44 of Lynn Kinchlow.
Yeah, Lynn just not having a super good race. Has started near the back of the pack and now ends up further back as well. So unfortunately for Lynn, he's further back in the pack. But if Kurt Crum could win this race, I mean, that's exactly what the whole point of doing these kinds of races are, is that you jump from you get in the MX-5, you climb up a couple positions, you jump in the Spec Racer Ford, you climb up a couple positions, and I think that's what everyone hopes to see. So Kurt Crum could absolutely put on a show. That's Christian Challoner, who just made it past Brian Barnes trying to get his recovery drive going up to 10th.
And he also set the fastest lap before he did that, so he's on it. Unfortunately for Wayne Hutchison, he also made contact with Kinchlow in that spin, so he's dealing with a damaged car at this stage, which actually can hurt your speed around here. Oh, Banfield and Waring almost looking like they're going to go side by side, and they are out of the final turn onto the front stretch. Banfield's got better speed, going to go the long way around, which has proved much faster out of the first turn. He doesn't need to. He is clear.
Clear indeed, and just as predicted, there you can see Kurt Crum getting involved in this action as well.
Challenger with another fastest lap, Joe. So he's not done yet. He won't make it up to this battle, but he's definitely going to climb his way forward. But wow, Andrew Waring absolutely putting pressure on Banfield. But look at the overspeed that Crum has coming up behind these two guys.
Does he dare try and take both in one? He's going to at least look for the first move. Waring cannot defend. Crum's already there. He's got a slot if he wants to take the gap, and yes, that's what he's going to do. So only one position taken. Now he looks ahead to the 777. Ross Banfield could indeed take this win, and also Challenger just got another spot in the 9th.
Yes, he did. So despite Challenger being back, clearly trying to get aggressive and move up through the field, here comes that 3-3-6 of Waring. Not going to make the attack going down into turn 1. Going to stay back behind Crum right now. Gets a little narrower of a line there coming up out of 1 as they crest over the hill. 1, 2, 3 in a straight line.
This is all happening about 8 seconds ahead of Ryan Walker, who's moved himself into 4th. And another fastest lap for Christian Challenger. My goodness. He's already caught up to Kevin Hill and should have 8th place soon based on what we're seeing from his pace. There you can see him. He's in the white car. The pink and white is Hill just in front of him.
Absolutely. Christian really putting down the fast laps. I don't think anybody's really questioning that, but here we go. Once again, Kurt Crum looking to the outside of Banfield that time, and look at the pressure from Waring behind, almost pushing Crum underneath the bridge. But now they're both going to have a decent run as they head down to turn 1. Here we go.
He's got the slipstream, but it doesn't look, he's not going for it. And Crum is the one that gains to the back of Banfield. Nobody showing their nose that time into the first turn. As patience finally showed itself in this race, are they looking maybe towards the fast lap? Because it looks like the slipstream is maybe even more powerful in these cars.
Yeah, it really does, Joe, and I think that may be what we're starting to factor into. These drivers may want to cool down their tires a little bit. Adam talked about that overheating, using them out a little bit more. But right now, these top 3 are line astern. This will be the moment. Here comes Crum. I think he's going to try to have a move here on the lead.
He's got the inside. Last time it was a defense from Banfield. This time he left the door open, and he tries to get in before Waring can get there. He does manage to shut the door. Crum is your new leader. For fans of Kevin Hill, he unfortunately had a spin in turn 3 this lap, so he's down to 15th.
Here comes Andrew Waring. He's got a run on Banfield, but he doesn't quite have the overspeed. Banfield actually had a better run through main course turn 12, the final corner. And look at him carry the speed through. Is he going to go off track? Almost. Wow, he was sideways going through turn 1.
Oh boy, Kurt Crum. Oh, who is slow through turn 3, catches out Banfield. Here comes Waring, but Waring's got no place to take that speed. But that was a scary moment. I think there may have been a little contact between the 777 and the 7.
I think you're right, Joe. Doesn't look like there's any damage to the nose of that 777, so he'll be able to escape on that nice and clean. But here they come in a line. That is Banfield with a lot of speed. Little bit of a bump draft there from the 777 in the back.
So Banfield decides not to take the chance, but continues to push Waring to keep up with Kurt Crum. 5 to go now at the line for these drivers. Looking to see what their pace is like compared to Christian Challenger, since he keeps setting fastest laps. And yeah, these guys are 103, late 103s, low 104s, whereas Challenger is, man, he did a 103 flat last time. He hit a 102.9 at one lap. This time a 103.4, so a little slower for him through there. But he is gaining. It's just unfortunately too little too late.
Yeah, absolutely. He's 15 seconds behind, 16 now. So unfortunately, he's not going to be able to climb his way up towards this pack. But man, is this pack putting on a show for sure. These guys are loose everywhere at this point. They're carrying so much speed through these corners. Waring is definitely going to give a shot on Crum this time. No? Alrighty, so Banfield's going to say, all right, I can take both of you then.
He gets past one. He gets his nose in on the other one. Side by side through the chicane, giving enough space, and he does indeed take a 2-for-1 there in the chicane.
A nice little twofer there for Ross Banfield. That'll get him ahead and give him a healthy lead. And I think Crum's checkup there as a result of that pass may leave him a little bit exposed here to Andrew Waring, but Waring not going to press his advantage. We ride out of the back there of that number 7 of Kurt Crum.
Now, unlike last time, we didn't see lap traffic. I saw a spin from Mark Stevenson just now, and they've got Lynn Kinchlow coming up along with Ryan Steele. Even though they've only got 4 laps left, I think they are going to be coming upon slower cars, and that could play a factor.
Yeah, may definitely play a factor in the lead of this race, but Banfield very susceptible to Crum this time around. But once again, I think Andrew Waring was really trying to be patient, and so was Ross Banfield when it came to making these passes. Crum is going to take the look, though. He's going to take a look on Banfield, and he's going to try and get by. Banfield's going to try the over-under here, catch a little bit of speed going through underneath the bridge. He's going to get it and look to the inside. Is he going to tow Waring with him?
No, Waring decides to put himself... No, there he late decides to go with Ross Banfield, and that gives him a huge slingshot. He goes clear around the outside. Does he dare chop off? No, he's going to give him space. And now it is Andrew Waring, your leader, as Banfield slots back into second.
And Joe, this may be the point. Remember last time out, we talked about the mental math that Christian Challoner was more than likely doing coming into the final stages of this race. I think that is what these guys are doing. They've seen how powerful the slipstream is. These leaders out front are doing that as we watch Challoner here in the 7th position.
He's already run down Liam Quinn by about 3.5 seconds already. But now, this is different from before, Adam, because it's 3 cars instead of 2. So how do you play that?
Well, I mean, you have to make sure that you are in the... my guess is that, honestly, you want to be tucked in as close as possible behind the 2 drivers ahead of you going into the final lap, especially going into turn 5, because that's when you have your best opportunity to slingshot by. But if you think that the person in second isn't going to try and make the pass down through the chicane, you're wrong again. Kurt Crum, he doesn't want to take it 3 wide yet, even though it's 2 to go.
And interestingly, Banfield, who had some momentum, decided not to try and pass Waring, as the 47 of Rob Powers is our latest to lose control of his kinetic Spec Racer Ford. He's not going to come in for repairs, though. Too late for that one. Down through the S's. And here's where we start to see things set up. Banfield's got the tow, but we don't expect him to take it this time. Are they going to allow Waring to keep hold of that top position?
The car I'm looking for here is Kurt Crum. Is he going to try to make a move for one position, or is he going to loiter back? Looks like everybody's going to loiter back. Definitely a little bit of a check up there from the 777. So 1, 2, 3, they go into the corner as they come up and get over the hill. It's time for the final lap, Joe.
White flag for our drivers, and Ryan Steele is being caught, but will he be fully caught by the time they get to the end of it? There you can see him. Hopefully he's paying attention if this gets closer. And Banfield, oh, he is going to go for it. I thought he wasn't. He gets his nose in and he makes contact, and that's a DQ. Andrew Waring is out of it, and now Kurt Crum is side by side, and he's going to be able to go through Banfield.
That's a big deal for sure. So Waring reaches the incident limit. Kurt Crum now in the lead of this race. Ryan Steele 2.4 seconds ahead, so not close enough for the draft. Banfield has the best opportunity to make the pass on this race. Kurt Crum's going to have to defend to the inside, but he might not have the speed for it.
Who is going to get this one? Last opportunity right here, and it's probably not going to be done at the chicane. He's giving Banfield the inside. Crum seems to think that he could make this stick. Can he cut back underneath? There goes Banfield on through, but momentum maybe in favor of Kurt Crum. Not quite. It looks like Banfield might have this one. The 777 takes the victory here in race 2 for the Majors SCCA runoffs.
Hoi, oi, oi, talk about some last lap drama. Oh,
look
they're
at
side by
this.
side.
That was Ryan Walker taking third.
That was
Morton.
as close as it could get for third. Holy smokes.
Morton 12 thousandths of a second behind him. Ryan with a nice podium here. And then behind them, more drivers coming across the line. I see Nick Kuhn looking for a 10th place. Powers recovers to an 11th after his late race spin, but not many battles. Christian Challenger, for those curious, wound up 5th.
Hoi, oi, oi, Joe, that is how you want to finish, and massive kudos there to the number 97, up 8 positions. He is our biggest mover on the day and taking the podium.
Yeah, look at him celebrate there. He is happy about that. Pumping his fist. Ryan Walker, ecstatic. Let's hope we get to talk to him a bit after the race. But we're going to take a quick break before we get to that. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews.
iRacing is a sim racing game that combines a true-to-life racing experience with an online community of virtual racers from all around the globe. iRacing offers a multitude of officially licensed cars and tracks, laser scanned with millimeter accuracy. Their car models and mechanical systems are based on real-world physics, engineered in cooperation with manufacturers and race teams. Their skill license system ranges from rookie to pro, ensuring members are always pitted against those with similar skill sets. Members are able to sign up for a weekly race series, compete in time trials, host a private race with friends, and participate in racing leagues created and run by the community. With over 170,000 members, iRacing works in partnership with renowned motorsports organizations like NASCAR to deliver virtual races based on the real-life NASCAR Cup Series, as well as many other series on the NASCAR ladder. iRacing also features team racing, providing a variety of options for members to create and manage their own teams. Race with friends or real-world teammates in full-length endurance events like the 24 Hours of Daytona, Spa 24, or the Bathurst 12 Hour. Additional partners include IMSA, World of Outlaws, Supercars, and IndyCar, allowing members to race in their very own Indianapolis 500, Bathurst 1000, Chili Bowl, and many more iconic events. This is iRacing, delivering the most authentic racing experience short of getting into a real race car. Sign up today at iRacing.com.
Welcome back to Road Atlanta. Both races for the Majors SCCA runoffs gave us some great action out there, and it was a battle for the win in both cases. Ross Banfield took the win in race 2, with Kurt Crum finishing behind him just over a 10th back in second. But it was the race for third that I wish we could have seen more of, as Ryan Walker finished third from 11th on the grid, 12 thousandths ahead of Justin Morton, who certainly fought him for that one. Those two were smiling from there. Christian Challenger, unfortunately, starting from the pole, was not able to keep it together. He had a spin, had a few contacts, and he could only do 5th. Even still, he has been crowned champion today. Liam Quinn was P6 as Adam Halleck finished 7th. Brian Barnes, another hard charger, from 14th to 8th, as Travis Warling was 9th, and Nick Kuhn finished 10th.
In 11th, it was Rob Powers, followed by Kevin Hill, with Brian McGreevy coming home 13th and Justin Kirby in 14th. Jason Wallet was P15, followed by Wayne Hutchinson and Ryan Steele, with Andrew Waring coming in behind them, getting DQ'd on that last lap, and Mark Stevenson in 19th. Lynn Kinchlow and Isaac Snyder both unable to finish here today.
And there you see our DNFs as we now talk to our winner for the second race, Ross Banfield, who we got to talk to between them. And Ross, it almost sounded like you're playing down your chances just a little bit, but you came away with the win anyways. Oh, Ross, do you have a copy? Looks like Ross may have stepped away briefly. We'll see if we...
Sorry about that.
There we go. We got you now, Ross.
Yeah, sorry. But yeah, that's not really how I wanted to win it. I did check the replay. It looked like it was kind of a 50-50 on that one. Looks like it was coming down a little bit across the nose, but yeah, it's not how I wanted to win it.
That's understandable. And you were a little bit close towards the end yourself at 9 incidents. Did it feel a bit nerve-wracking in either of the races with the limit being so low?
Yeah, it's really easy to get a 1x here, just from that cutover, and then also on the final chicane, if you cut it a little too much, it's pretty easy, and then racks up fast. So you can see what happens.
Even still, man, that had to have been a lot of fun. Were you grinning inside the cockpit there that whole race? Because I know we were smiling up here in the booth the whole time.
Oh yeah, no, I was having a blast up until the very end. It was bittersweet, but it was still fun.
That's understandable. Hopefully, you and your competitor will be able to work it out from there, as Warren did seem a little incensed. Regardless, is there anybody you'd like to thank for this victory?
Yeah, the guys over at UDocs, the reason I was so much stronger is we did a lot more practice with this car, as you can see. But it was a lot of fun running with them. It made the car by itself is really boring to drive, but when you drive in the pack, that's where the fun starts.
Yeah, we could see that here today, and we kind of expected that here on GSRC. Well, congratulations. That was Ross Banfield, our winner in the second race. And following home in second here in the SRS was Kurt Crum. DJ has caught up with him.
I have indeed, Kurt. That was a battle through the field for you. Talk me through, first off, when you started closing down there on the leaders.
Yeah, well, I didn't have a ton of practice in this car, but I felt really comfortable at points. So, they were battling, and I was able to eventually work my way back up. A couple mistakes, I think, due to the unfamiliarity of the car, but man, it was a great fight all the way through.
I know we enjoyed watching it. Well, talk us through a little bit that last lap. Obviously, let us call it the kerfluffle in front of you with the DQ there for Waring. What was your mentality coming through turn one at that point?
To avoid the same fate, I was I was at 11 incident points for about the last 9 laps. So I really wanted to fight a little harder with Ross there at the end, but I just had to play it safe.
Well, play it safe you did, and you were able to bring it home. Obviously, some different cars here tonight, and you said a little bit of unfamiliarity, but how do you like racing these SRFs? Is this something you may want to look into, or are you going to go back to something that feels a little bit more comfortable?
Yeah, it was pretty fun. I certainly haven't driven them since the transmission and some of the other updates, so it's definitely a lot more accessible now. I got a good setup from the guys at Forge, so I want to thank them. But it might be something I spend a little more time in.
Well, all right. I love hearing that. Kurt, anybody you want to thank here today for this run?
Yeah, just the guys at Forge, and for the setup help, and Bombshell for the moral support, and that's about it. Thank you guys for putting on a good show.
Well, we're happy to do it when you guys put on such a great show like that. That was Kurt Crum there, your second place finisher. And now, Adam, I believe you've caught up with someone we're very familiar with here on the channel, Ryan Walker.
Yeah, Ryan, a fantastic battle between yourself and Justin Morton that lasted pretty much the last 2/3 of this race. Talk to me about that battle.
Yeah, well, as you can tell, firstly, I'm out of breath after that because that was absolutely intense. But like you say, that was an awesome battle of Justin and also Liam Quinn as well in the early stages. Managed to pull away from Justin and Liam when they were scrapping, but I think Justin managed to get away And then I saw Justin closing the gap down, so I thought if he catches up to me in the final couple of laps, I'll put up some sort of fight, but I won't do anything too silly. But managed to hold Justin off and take third place, and well, holy cow.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that final corner, you guys finished, what, 12 one-thousandths of a second apart. I mean, that was a very close finish, but how hard is it to manage this car? I mean, I know that it starts off tight in the run, but everyone started to look like they were pretty loose going around the sweeping cut through towards the end of that race. How was it managing the snap oversteer off of throttle today?
I didn't find I had that much off throttle oversteer, to be honest. I mean, it had a little bit, but I found with if I was able to control it with blocking the throttle and the downshifts, so I found that I was actually able to manage it that way. But you still had to be careful, even though it's an updated car with like it's a lot easier to drive, but you've still got to be on your toes, if you like.
Yeah, absolutely. And a very interesting race and very awesome to watch you two battling for sure. Now, obviously, our next race, we are headed off to Twin Ring Motegi, the oval with the old Indy car for the Dallara. What are your thoughts heading into that round?
I wasn't planning to do that race, but I'm definitely planning to do it now because I do love my IndyCar stuff, and I don't think I'll do too well, but I think I'll see how it goes. Just put in some practice and see how I get on, and just have a bit of fun.
Well, Ryan, fantastic drive today, and as usual, you know the drill. Anyone you want to thank before we let you go?
Firstly, to the team at Satellite Racing, for making me feel a part of the team and just making it a fun environment to be a part of. Secondly, you guys for putting on the broadcasts and doing an awesome job as always. And lastly, Justin Martin and Liam Quinn for that awesome battle, because that was absolutely fun, and it's probably the most fun I've had on iRacing for quite some time.
Well, thanks for talking to us, Ryan, and we'll see you soon on the channel.
Thanks, Adam.
That was Ryan Walker, who finished in the third position today, and Joe Peak has caught up with Andrew Waring.
Yes, indeed. And Andrew, obviously a little bit upset after that finish to the second race. Just a quick reminder that we do try to keep the language family friendly. But Andrew, we can understand the frustrations, as that was such a close fight and a great fight up until that last lap.
Yeah, I mean, I'm livid, obviously. I don't go into the Euro races and ruin their championships, but first race against Christian was obviously great, clean, and then the SRF or SFR, whatever it's called, was good fun. There was obviously an incident behind me, but even at a second and a half, I just couldn't keep away from Ross and Kurt, and they caught me. And honestly, I was more than happy to sit behind the two of them and let them, nearly crash a couple times. But when it got 2 to go, I just figured I'd try and make a break for it because there was some lap traffic and maybe I could draft or, they could get in the way. But just really disappointed what happened there at the end with Ross.
It is disappointing. And knowing that, though, with how much fun you had, considering this is the first time we've seen these two cars in the majors, would you like to see more like this maybe in future seasons with kind of the lesser powered cars, giving them a chance to have everybody give a go at them?
Yeah, absolutely. I've before this week, I never drove the Spec Ford, and I obviously haven't driven the Miata a ton because it's not in the majors. But it was good clean racing for 99% of the race, and unfortunately the last 1% ruined my race and my championship. So I just hats off to that. I'm really thrilled about that.
Well, hopefully we'll get to see it over in Japan. You planning on at least showing up for the Indy 300 over there?
I don't know. At this point, I might just wait until next year and refocus my efforts. So we'll see.
All right. Well, obviously a bit of a despondent Andrew Waring, who is looking at a win there potentially for the second race and had his championship attempts a little bit interrupted. But we do have a man who is celebrating the championship, and that is Christian Challoner. DJ has caught up with him.
Christian, first and foremost, congratulations, my friend. You are the first repeat winner in a single region. I know the second race didn't end well, but that's got to be a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty cool. I mean, about halfway through the year, it kind of seemed like it probably wasn't going to happen. Just on realistically what was going on in the oval races. You know, mod race was not good for me. It's disconnected from the Indy race, disconnected from the Darlington race. You know, so yeah, it's pretty much up against it on the oval side of things. But on the road side, it was actually pretty wicked. I mean, the only race I felt like I didn't really have any pace was probably the Lotus 79 race, which is a bit ironic given how much I've kind of been racing that car lately. Yeah, and even that was still top 5, you know, so pretty good on the road side of things. Obviously, yeah, that contact into turn 1 and then spinning myself because I was mad about that was not really the way I wanted to round out the road races this year. But, you know, I guess you can't have everything, right?
Well, you know, I mean, still, it was a good day for you out there, and obviously these SRFs are a whole lot to hold on to. But also wanted to talk to you about the run there in the MX5s earlier on. That looked like you just kind of had that thing on lock the entire time.
I don't really think I had it on lock, if I'm honest. Andrew was very quick in that, and I kind of just got a bit lucky in a way because he could have been a lot harsher in terms of his defense. I think he could have really sort of taken the apex away from me in the chicane. He chose not to do that, which I'm very thankful that he didn't do that, and we were able to go side by side and whatnot. Obviously worked out in my favor in that sense, but no, I don't think I had it on lock. I knew that was my better of the two cars going into the races, you know, so I wanted to at least have a good race in that. And to be honest, that thing's quite fun. I know it's sequential now, so it's not quite one-to-one with the road car anymore. But, I mean, to me, it feels like an MX-5, you know? Like, it feels similar, just faster than my road car, so I always have fun driving that.
Well, I think anytime you're having fun, that's a good thing. And Christian, I got to ask you, you know, we've got one last oval of the year and then looking to next year as well. Any goals for that or anything you're looking forward to for Majors 2022?
It'd be nice to end the oval rounds with actually maybe a good performance. I mean, 5 Flags was pretty good to be fair, but you know, most of those races this year have really not gone that well. So it would be nice to have something a bit different. Obviously, it's quite a lot different. I've literally never loaded the IRO 5, I don't think so. Completely new deal to me. I only know what Liam's told me about it, so yeah, it'll be interesting for sure. Should be a fun one though, I think, to round it out. I know restarts are going to be pretty tricky, so I'm a little bit worried about those. But going into next season, yeah, I mean, probably be back, that's for sure. But I don't even know what the schedule is going to be. So yeah, hopefully a couple more races that I like. I kind of missed the Lotus 49 and the Silver Crown and all that kind of stuff this year. I would like to see those back. But to be honest, I was really worried about this because well, by this I mean the SCCA stuff, because I wasn't really that keen on stuff where everybody's draft locked together and whatnot, but it's pretty fun actually. You know, like if you go into it and you know that it's like that, then it's not frustrating because you just accept that that's the style of racing it is. It's kind of like the Pro 2 and Pro 4 were, where I think I probably went into those thinking it was going to be like this really purist thing of like, yeah, we'll have no contact and like everybody will be super clean and everything. It's like, you know, it's just not going to happen. It's like, it's a 10 wide start going into a funnel basically. So once you start kind of considering things for what they are, yeah, it got more fun, you know, but I do like those really difficult races. So I would totally like to see, say, the Silver Crown and the 49, probably 79 back as well. They're kind of my jam.
Well, we'll have to see how it is, Christian. And I know for myself, I look forward to seeing you in it there. Anybody you want to thank, though, for this run here tonight and for the whole season?
Yeah, I would like to give a big shout out to Mike for running the series. I mean, obviously, the past couple of years, it seems to me at least like it's really kind of grown. When I joined, it was just the Pacific Majors. I couldn't even race. So, you know, it was nice to have different regions and whatnot. And obviously in 18, it was a lot of fun. And yeah, it's really been a lot of fun since then. And, you know, I've had my fair share of criticisms that he's listened to. And yeah, I've definitely had a good moan at him a few times. So I appreciate that he's not got kind of too upset with me about that. One guy that I would definitely like to give a shout out to, I know he's not with us anymore, but Yeah, big shout out to John King, because without him, I probably would have just never been in the series in the first place. And I mean, even outside of the majors, John helped me just so much with so many things. Obviously, really sad that he is no longer with us. But yeah, I mean, I would like to give him a shout out, because I think it's good that we remember him. Obviously, the Legends Trophy is named after him, so that's really cool, and I think his presence is still felt. So yeah, we'll give John a shout out for this season.
Well, we'd like to extend that shout out as well. And thank you, Christian. That was your winner, Christian Challoner, in the MX5s here today, and your championship winner for the Majors Americas region in 2021. Joe?
Which is going to close us out for tonight. And before we go, we want to give another mention for our charity for this series, the ASPCA. Again, if you want to see how you can help out, go to aspca.org. And a big thank you to the majors for bringing us back for another season of coverage, along with a thank you to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcast listed here on your screen. Additional thanks to June Lalonde, who provides our wonderful music. Check out her Bandcamp for more great work. And thanks to the team today, Adam, DJ, Zach, and Dougie. You can find more info about GSRC at globalsimracingchannel.com or through our social media listed on the screen. And also check out our merchandise store at simracingmerch.com/GSRC. We keep a link in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel so you don't miss a moment, because as we said, the next race is the finale. It'll be the old Indy cars at the Indy Japan 300. Twin Ring Motegi hosting that one, Sunday, November 7th at 8 p.m. Eastern. We have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. Until next time, race clean, race hard, and we'll see you on the track.